How's it, guys? Thanks for joining me. I want to chat to you quickly today about a fantastic book I just finished reading called Rework by the founders of 37 Signals. It's a nice, fantastic, easy, relatively short book to read. They're also a little bit unique and different. One of the nice things that I think the guys do in the book is they break each chapter down into a few sort of key thoughts. Then they start each of these sections with a nice graphic depicting the sort of major point they're going to try and make in the next few chapters, and then go on to make it quite eloquently. One sort of word of caution though is that remember just that when you look at a book like this or something like Good to Great from Jim Collins, and you try to derive specific characteristics or actions that successful companies did to get where they are, it's a little bit dangerous to think that everybody that did things like that or similar to that will end up successful. Because even though this specific company did these things, and they talk about it quite, as I said, eloquently, it doesn't mean that everybody that follows a similar train of thought will be successful. That sort of disclaimer aside, it's really a fantastic book. I think one of the ways they describe the book for themselves is as a byproduct of their experience and journey and learning in building their own company. And I think that's a nice way to think about it. For most people, I think if they go to the trouble of capturing more of their experience, either in successful or even unsuccessful starting a business, they could have valuable byproducts like this to sell afterwards. I think one of the things I wish I had learned a lot earlier is that budgeting and planning is actually almost an absolute business practice. They say in the book that the human's ability to predict or forecast into the future is actually very weak, and that we usually either over or estimate it by factors of 2, 3, 5 or even more. So the whole idea of budgeting every year and spending loads and loads of human resources and hours trying to come up with a budget that actually is going to end up being far from the truth is a waste of time. They encourage people to try and make a dent in the universe by starting a business and specifically try and solve specific problems that you can find. And the more acute the problems can be, the better chance of starting a great business. I think one aspect that I wish I had spent, or I think I want to spend more time on getting much better at, as being good at hiring people, finding great people, and also creating the environment for those people to do their absolute best. I think one of the concepts they talk about in the book that I really enjoyed is try and look for people that's great managers of one. People who can manage their own time, their own effort, and actually can get much more done than your average employee. So manager of one, I think, was a fantastic concept that they spoke about. And then around sort of marketing or PR, getting publicity, they talk about teaching, using teaching as a tool. So you take whatever your niche or the field of expertise, and you try and build as big an audience as you can by teaching them how to do something that's important in that niche, you'll start to have a much better way of communicating to potential customers. By building this audience, you actually get to the point where you have a captive audience ready to listen to your message. And if you then also make sure your products serve quite an acute need that they have, then you're going to have a successful business, and that's going to be significantly cheaper to reach those potential customers than most of the other above the line or traditional media. They also caution that there's almost no company in the world that's really overnight success. Although perception often dictates that people think companies became successful and came out of nowhere, if you actually talk to the people behind the company, there'll be a long story and a long lead up to how they actually got to the point to be able to be successful. So it's very seldom, almost never, that people are an overnight success. One also around culture, they very accurately describe, and I think correctly, that culture is not something you try and create. Culture happens by consistent behavior. So if you decide that staff is the most important part of your company and you need to treat your employees in a special way, you only create a culture like that by consistently over time behaving in a manner that shows the staff that they are the most important. So to wrap up, I think this was a fantastic read and it's definitely worth the time. So I really look forward to reading some of their other work and spend some time on their blog and following them. It was a fantastic read, and I encourage everybody that's even remotely interested in starting a business to spend some time and go read this book. It'll be worth your time.